Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Five Lug Racing. With you as always, my name is Don. My partner in crimes, Ryan and Kevin, is hanging out with us tonight. We're here talking a little bit about Daytona, the regular season finale. We're going to preview the first round of the NASCAR playoffs at Darlington, the track too tough to tame. But first, Kevin's got a little bit he wants to explain to you about his diecast of the week. Kevin?
This week, we got our winner from last week sneaking by there, Mr. Ryan Blaney and his 2024 body armor, Zero Sugar,
Ooh.
autographed Ford.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
What else you got going on in the diecast community, bud?
We got a few races up. This week, we just put up a new card break.
Oh, nice.
So come check that out. We're doing last name on the drivers. You get your drivers or a small group of drivers. Big 5-box mixer with some national treasures in it. So we're going to be ripping that next week. So
yeah, right on. For all you card collectors out there, make sure you check out Kevin's link down in our description. We'll post that down there for you guys to go check out on Facebook. KK's Diecast community, wonderful place to go get some of your NASCAR memorabilia. And make sure you check it out. Have a good time. Throw some bids down and see if you win something. Ryan, great to see you too, bud. We got Daytona in the rearview mirror, and we got Darlington coming up, bud. How you doing? Let's talk about it.
I'm doing well. It's good to see you guys. And man, Daytona was exciting. I'll tell you what, for as much as I've hated on they called them plate races back in the day. Now they're, low tape, spacer. But the drafting style,
tracks, right?
The drafting style tracks is what they are now. And some of them have been a little lax. I'm just going to call it for what it is. They've been a little disappointing. Daytona was not. It was really fun. It was very racy the entire race. We saw a big one early in stage one. We saw them not afraid to dice it up, mix it up, pass. There was a lot of passing, a lot of comers and goers throughout the entire race. And I was really, really happy to see that because some of the races just have been boring. You feel like the drivers just kind of ride around to avoid the big one. And then, they dice it up in stage three or they're saving fuel, whatever may be the case. But that wasn't the case this weekend. And it paid dividends. I mean, it was a really fun, exciting race to watch as a fan. I was glued. And, man, those last couple laps were just electric. I mean, Daniel Suarez and Ryan Blaney came from in the teens in like 2-3 laps to finish 1-2.
Yeah.
And, finding the outside lane and making that work and navigating their way through traffic. And it was just a thing of beauty to see. A really neat finish. Ryan Blaney, of course, as you just said, Kevin, with the diecast of the week, gets to, put his car in victory lane again one more time before the playoffs, gets more playoff points, and avoided us from having to talk about the new winner because everybody behind Blaney would have been one. I mean, we had Suarez, Cole Custer. I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I mean, Cody Ware was like your dark horse was Cody Ware, Don, and he had a really good Daytona.
He led 22 laps, man. That was crazy.
yeah.
We expected him to, though. He's really good there. And, you didn't just pick that for the sake of picking Cody Ware. It was we expect that from him. He has figured out Daytona on how to navigate that track. And it was really, really fun to see some of those guys. It's the great equalizer. And that big one took out some really good cars, or what I would expect to say were some really good cars. It was kind of so early on. You don't know. But, I mean, those that missed it were the pure beneficiary of that, having your Cole Custers and your Cody Wares and your Daniel Suarez all up there dicing, trying to earn their spot into that, love it, hate it, winning in, type of system that we saw. But we did not have that. It was like, we got Austin Dillon the week before, and here we go with a repeat winner. Really, the big beneficiary of that was Alex Bowman, who was caught up early in that big one, and his car was junk, couldn't go anymore. No. And I think he said, was it 7 million beers or something he owes Ryan Blaney.
7 million beers. Yeah. He owes Ryan Blaney 7 million beers. That's what it was.
Yeah. So, Ryan Blaney, we're checking on you. You good? You don't have blood alcohol poisoning or anything like that? So, I mean, Justin Haley was up there. Eric Jones, he had a really strong speed weeks in February. It was interesting to watch, and Daytona does Daytona things, and I don't think we got any less of that, but it was just the whole race as a whole. They weren't afraid to mix it up, and who knows? Maybe that's because there was so much on the line, and positioning yourself and in the right spots to make the right moves. But yeah, it was a really exciting finish, and
we got to elaborate on something really quick. Not even a few laps before that big one happened in stage 1, we saw Tyler Reddick trouble so early in this race. Ryan, this has happened to us 2 seasons in a row. Kevin, you weren't with us yet. You're with us for this one. But last year, we were doing the same dance. We're like, Martin Truex Jr.'s fine. He's got 140 points on the cut line. And we're getting down to the final race of the season. And Martin Truex Jr. is in a little bit of a pickle trying to, finish out the regular season. Tyler Reddick, the same exact thing. I mean, he literally had a 140-point cushion with like 6 races to go. And we get down to Daytona and he's wrecking 10 laps in. And it's looking like he's going to miss the playoffs. I mean,
right.
Until the big one happens with Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, that whole mix-up that happened, everybody's got their opinion on it, regardless of who you think is at fault. It happens. It's Daytona. That saved Tyler Reddick's season. I mean, that is absolutely mind-blowing. So for anybody out there who doesn't think it's exciting, it's definitely exciting. Let's just call it for what it is, whether you like it or not.
And I'm glad you said something, because I kind of tried to forget that as somebody who, since, I've seen Tyler Reddick race dirt, I followed his career and I was really hoping he would make the postseason.
Right.
He did, but yeah, like you said, it was bleak there. It was dark for a minute. We were checking in on the Reddick fans, because they were not good. They were not good. But yeah, it all panned out because of that big one. And Reddick, I don't know how either, but Reddick did not suffer too much damage, even though he hit kind of hard.
I hit hard.
Yeah, like I was really surprised that not only did he not get as much damage as I thought he did, but I mean, he, had speed enough to work in the draft with everybody. He could not pull people at all with that aero damage.
But he was just drafting.
He was just fine drafted, and he was able to push and all that stuff. A matter of fact, like, was it two laps to go? He was, I think, somewhere's around the top 10, but then he fell back with that third lane surgence. That Ryan Blaney and Daniel Suarez were rolling that line, and it was working. That third lane really worked well in Daytona, especially at the end of that race. But yeah, you're right. It was almost an absolute disaster for Tyler Reddick and the 45 team, who had a really good year as far as the regular season goes. They did not get a win. This is a team that we were expecting to have, I don't know, maybe 3 wins at this point in the season.
At minimum.
Based off of how they ran last year. And at least that's the expectation that they set for us, as analysts. And I'm sure that was an expectation in-house. It just has not happened yet. But guess what? They got 10 races left to go out and get those 3 wins. And that could have them sitting really pretty if they're able to win them now at the back half of the season. As we know, these playoffs are all about getting hot at the right time. We're carrying momentum at the right time. And now that's the fun part that we get to talk about, because we go to a Darlington race that was a race before the postseason last year. To relive that was an exciting, drama-filled race, especially towards the end. what an emotionally charged race and win for Chase Briscoe and his 14 Stewart-Haas Racing team. A team that is all but done. They had a handful of races left in the tank, before they closed the doors finally, completely as a team. And it was when they absolutely needed it. And they went out and got the job done, not only on track, but on pit road. It was just a beautifully executed race from that team. But it's one of the most aggressive races I've ever seen Chase Briscoe drive.
Yeah.
Like the move that he made to put on a dominant car for most of the race with Kyle Larson, and then having Rowdy Busch chasing him down, who also needed it something bad.
Yeah.
Those two ended up fighting it out for the win. And just like we had seen Chase do at Darlington in an Xfinity car, he finished 1-2 with Rowdy chasing him, and gets a huge win when it mattered so much. You fast forward a year later, now this is it's a playoff race. The Southern 500 is a playoff race. And first of all, what a race the Southern 500 is. Guys, I don't know about you, but I know the history and all that, that prestige. It's a crown jewel event in NASCAR.
Right.
But it is one of my favorite races on the entire schedule. I always have this one circled as I'm locking in. I love this one. There's just something special about the Southern 500. It didn't disappoint last year. I highly doubt it disappoints this year. It used to be home to one of the closest or the closest finish in NASCAR until recent years. That's changed. Darlington is a special, special place. Not only as a driver, but as, a fan to go be a spectator there. Darlington is considered a small market, but this track has thrived and transcended through the test of time. No matter the gen car that has gone onto this track and just they put on a show.
Right.
It's got a really abrasive surface.
Right.
It's got two completely different ends of the track. It's one of the true unique tracks on the circuit that's left. It's an egg-shaped oval because when they built it, they bought farmland, but they couldn't cut into that one area where there's like this pond, right?
Yeah.
A fishing pond. So they had to make the one end smaller. It was supposed to be two bigger sweeping ends like turns 1 and 2, but instead we end up getting the little, the small end of the egg, as 3 and 4. And to me, that's part of what makes it so fun because you not only do you have a track surface that's so abrasive, but the preferred groove has always been the top, where you get that term Darlington stripe.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have stripes this weekend.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You get that term Darlington stripe, and you get into the wall, riding in the center of the corners or coming off, especially this track got even better in my opinion when they had to put safer barriers in because you eat up some of that surface and it's just like, some of that real estate's gone. So, in the turns, but you get it back if the safer barriers kind of how they protrude out, but then they swoop back into the main wall.
Right.
And there's just nothing not fun about this race as a spectator. And as an analyst, and we get the fun part because we get to talk about it and cover it. The drivers, though, they're white knuckling it, and it is truly a driver's track. In my opinion, it's so challenging, and it will test you. It will eat up your equipment if you let it. And those that we've historically seen succeed here are the ones that are able to not only have a good race car. You do need a good race car, but because handling's so important here, but you also need to be able to manage your stuff. And
your dart racers.
Yeah. You do see them, Chase Briscoe, he's one. Kyle Larson was doing really well here last year, and has run well here. Tyler Reddick has a history of really strong finishes at this track. All these dirt guys, like you said, the ones that like to run that top cushion and push that limit, they seem to find a way to get that little extra speed out of these cars here.
There was something that I want to highlight that you said, and you were talking about the abrasiveness of this track. And for those listening that aren't familiar with Darlington Speedway, when that track was originally built, they actually used sand from the beaches of South Carolina. Well, that sand had crushed pieces of seashell in it, and that mixed into the surface of this racetrack absolutely tears up your tires if you don't manage it correctly. Ryan, we've talked about this for a year now. We want more tire fall off. Well, it seems like no matter what tire they take to Darlington, they are getting chewed up. And what does that do? That creates crazy race cars. What does that do? That raises the level of the racing intensity and who's able to handle it and who's not. Expect people like Denny Hamlin to do really well with a track like this come this Sunday night.
Well, I mean, Denny Hamlin won the spring race here, a seasoned veteran, a guy who understands the importance of being able to take care of your equipment.
Yep.
And that may not be, let's go out and run as fast as we can these first 5 laps. That may be, let me find the right pace for my race car so I can set myself up to be there in 30 laps, before we need to pit.
Right.
So that is an advantage for some and a disadvantage for others. It doesn't bode well for the younger guys sometimes because, these new cars, even the last gen car, okay, not just the one we're currently racing, but you didn't have to take care of it as much as some of these older gen cars that Denny Hamlin has the experience driving. Being a veteran of the sport. Guys, is Denny the oldest driver in the field, or as far as years? Is it Kyle Busch and Denny?
I think it's those two right now. 22.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one's older than the other. Is Denny older?
I think.
But as far as the driving years goes, I think
Kyle's
Denny's got.
39.
I think Kyle's older.
Yeah, but as far as the length of their veteranships, they've both been doing a very long time.
Right.
And, this is a track that you will see Kyle Busch run well at because of those things. Again, you're going to need a good handling race car, though, too. And that is a question mark. Will RCR give him that good handling race car he needs? And can he manage his equipment? Because that seems to be the story of Kyle Busch lately. I mean, he is so hit or miss. If he gets the good handling race car, he'll go up and he'll mess around in the top 10 and top 5, for the race. But if he's fighting an ill handling race car with this next gen car, he struggles, and it's kind of been an Achilles heel for him. Whereas, and I mean no disrespect to Kyle Busch because dude is a champion. He's won so many damn races in this series. And not only this one, but the Xfinity Series, the Truck Series, the guy's a winner. He knows how to drive a race car. But this car's a challenge. This car was meant to be the great equalizer. It was meant to hit the reset button for the entire field, top to bottom.
Right.
And in many ways, I'm glad it did. Now they're just all trying to struggle to find that extra half a tenth to a tenth, and figure out how to beat each other that way. Because it is the equalizer in many sense of the game. But, we got to talk about the playoffs here. And
round 1, baby.
The regular season champion and Kyle Larson are tied for P1 at top of the standings right now. Denny Hamlin.
His face.
Yeah. Denny Hamlin is 3 points behind them. 3 more points behind Denny Hamlin is Ryan Blaney.
Yep.
3 more points behind him, Christopher Bell. 1 point behind is Shane Van Gisbergen, in 6th. 7th is Chase Elliott. Now, he's got a 9-point cushion there. Chase Briscoe is 3 points behind Chase Elliott, 8th place. Bubba Wallace, 2 points behind Briscoe in 9th. Austin Cindric, 10th place, also tied with Bubba Wallace. But Bubba has a slight tiebreaker advantage over Austin Cindric right now. So he gets the nod there. Ross Chastain, your Coke 600 winner. He is 11th place. Joey Logano actually tied with him, but Ross has a tiebreaker over Joey. Then we got Josh Berry. And then you got those drivers that don't have wins, or one that does. Austin Dillon. My apologies, Austin. But he's still one spot below Tyler Reddick because of the playoff points and stuff that Reddick was able to earn. And then Alex Bowman. So the 4 drivers below the cutoff line right now, because only after these 3 races, only the top 12 will advance from the round of 16. So 4 drivers, we say go home, right? But they really don't. They get to continue the rest of the season, but they're out of the playoffs. Their championship run is over if you don't come out of Bristol, in the top 12. So Josh Berry, Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon, Alex Bowman, all on the outside looking in currently as we speak. Bowman's only 5 points below that cut line. That's 5 spots on the track.
Right. That's assuming all the people above him do 5 spots worse than him. So a lot has to happen for that to kind of.
Yeah.
Right. And so I look at how tight it is. Kyle Larson and William Byron are 26 points above the cut line. That's it. That's
worth the points, because you can get about 55 to 60 if you max out your points for the day.
Denny Hamlin, who it was tied with Shane Van Gisbergen for the most wins in the regular season. He's plus 23. Blaney's plus 20, plus 17 for Bell, plus 16 for Shane. And then you get to plus 7 for Chase Elliott, plus 4 for Chase Briscoe, plus 2 for Bubba Wallace, and plus 2 for Cindric, and only plus 1 for Logano and Chastain. Guys, this is tight.
Yep.
Tight. This race, this weekend, I think can set the tone for the entire playoffs. Okay. Not just the round of 16, but I think the entire playoffs. Because you can easily see somebody that's above that 12 right now out in a couple weeks.
Right.
With a wreck here at Darlington and then playing from behind the 8 ball. Because we had seen drivers have the bad misfortune. We saw last year's champion have bad misfortune and win a race and be able to advance. And then also had some good fortune because Alex Bowman failed in the round of 12. He failed for being too low, puts the 22 back in. You know what I mean? So
yeah, Bowman actually weighed in too light on his post race at the Roval, and so his playoff spot that he earned into the round of 8 was taken away and given to Joey Logano. That saved Joey Logano in the 22 season as a whole. That was absolutely bonkers, but that's how close we're talking about, guys. I mean, we've seen championships and opportunities lost from round to round by 1 single point. I mean, the margin for error when you get to this point of the season is negative. It's not 0. You have to be beyond perfect to get through this.
Right.
And if you're going to find yourself in a big hole, and then you're going to be chasing your tail the rest of the time. So,
and it's an absolute kind of like, I don't want to say lottery, because you got to kind of go out there and make your own luck this weekend. You've got to know, and all these drivers know, all 16 of these drivers know that they have to show up this weekend with something.
Right.
They have to, because if not, they know their next shot is Gateway, and then you go to Bristol, that is a wild card, and dare I say Kyle Larson's playground right now.
Man, anybody but Kyle Larson is going to Bristol this weekend in 2 weeks. I'm just being honest. We watch a lot of the sport. We've seen it for the last 2 seasons where Kyle Larson just goes to Bristol, and it's like nobody else even shows up. I don't understand it, but everybody else has to take that in consideration.
Well, it's used to be the other Kyle. So I mean that's the way it was.
Right.
The other Kyle used to have a lock on Bristol, and now it's Larson. So
No, it's incredible. So you talk about your Shane Van Gisbergens going into a road course and basically packing it up. Because what are we supposed to do? He wins by 15 seconds every time we do that. That's
Right.
Larson at Bristol right now. So
Right.
kind of pencil that one in for the 5 team here in a couple weeks. But anything can happen.
Right.
Who knows?
Sure. But I mean, like, these guys have got to know that it's go time this weekend. Like, and you're gonna see the intensity ramp up. You're gonna see different racing this weekend, I think, than that of which we have seen the last few weeks.
Right.
Because we got 16 drivers that are all hungry for their spot in the round of 12. And making sure the tone is set for not only for themselves, but their entire team going forward through the playoffs. And well, I mean, we spoke of Tyler Reddick, right? He got in that accident at Daytona and we thought, and then he does catch a break with the big one taking out other drivers that he was racing. And really it was Bowman that couldn't beat him. And Bowman got in that accident and did, Tyler Reddick can cure his whole season with a win this weekend.
Yep.
This is a place he absolutely can do it too.
Yeah.
As far as the field goes in the last 6 to 7 races, and I say that because there's one driver with a 6 race sample size that I'm looking at, and the dozen that I'm looking at here, but Joey Logano is another one, because he is really not in a good spot right now. He's +1 above the cut.
Right.
He and Tyler Reddick are darn near tied for top driver averages here, but the top goes to William Byron at 9.1, Christopher Bell at 9.6 as far as average finish is concerned, Denny Hamlin, who won here in the spring, 10.3, and then you get to Reddick Logano. Those are guys that want to have a good race this weekend here, because they need the points.
Yep.
Those other 3 that I named before Reddick Logano, those guys are a lot more comfortable. And I can't say they're completely comfortable because, +20 and above is not necessarily a lock to make the next round. But, I expect them to run strong here this weekend. Another one, Brickyard 400 winner this year, Bubba Wallace, has an average finish of 13.1 here. He was the pole sitter for this race last year, one season ago. Has a lot of speed here, and it's exciting to see how this is going to play out. Ross Chastain, another playoff driver, 15.3 average finish. Chase Briscoe, 16.1. We talk about those average finishes because if you've been watching the races the last couple weeks, everybody raises the eyebrow with Shane Van Gisbergen, right? He's the pink elephant in the room here in the playoff standings. He is +16 above the cut line right now. But what the analysts and the mathematicians have said is basically he needs to have an average finish of 15th to advance to the next round. So, yeah, average finish matters.
Yeah.
When we take into consideration those statistics and such, while we're on the topic of SVG, he did say he's very much looking forward to this race, Darlington. Yep. This was the one that he said is his favorite track in this round. And he's very much looking forward to it, where he might not be as much looking forward to a Bristol. And Gateway, who knows what we get there. Gateway, we do believe you still shift a little. It could play into SVG's favor. And if you have been paying attention, SVG's oval performance has been getting a ton better. How cool was it to see him dicing it up at the front at Daytona? Took that 88 Red Bull car and he led meaningful laps in this race. And when he lost the lead, he went back and got it again a couple times. It was really cool to see. Like I said, they were all very racy, but he had a piece, and if people are still, do I want to work with him? Do I not want to work with him? You can almost see that in the draft. It's like, but he definitely is showing that he's improving on these races. And what he did in Richmond, finding a lane that nobody else was running and passing cars. I hadn't seen cars pass cars on the top lane at Richmond in forever. Yeah. And he was making an entire race out of it. So yeah, Shane is a wild card in this. And can he do it? I, for one, will be tuning in to see, because there's going to be a lot of eyes on him, because he's taken his rookie season. He's taken the sport by storm, winning 4 races in dominant fashion. And none of them have been on an oval. So we don't get a road course until next round. He's got to get there, though, folks. Yep. So if he gets to the round of 12 and can get to the Roval and go win that thing, oh boy. You know, what a season this guy's putting together for a rookie year, and a true oval rookie. A true oval rookie. Aside from dirt, he has not run asphalt ovals until he came over here to the United States and ran cup cars. So, take that for what it's worth. But guys, I mean, there's so many variables here in this playoffs. It's exciting, and curious to see who makes it, who doesn't make it in this round. We just saved the tracks for the round of 12, guys. We got, obviously, Darlington this weekend. We got Gateway. And then we're going to Bristol. Who are some names that you're watching and keeping an eye on for this round doesn't favor them so well? What do you think, guys?
Kevin, hit me with yours, man.
Honestly, I think Barry, he got the win, but he just hasn't. He's been there, but I haven't really noticed anything out of him since then. So I feel like he's on his way out. He made it, and it was a big deal for the Wood brothers to get that win. That was awesome. I like Barry, but I just feel like they're not putting together consistent finishes to keep carrying on. So I see him going out this round. Dylan, he won Richmond, but that's all he's done this year. Was that, right. Did he have any other top 10 finishes besides that?
I think
honestly,
I think he had two top 10s.
Top 10s. Okay. Well, gone.
Yeah.
And Cindric, I feel like he's done as well. I feel like this is it. He's the less productive of the Penske's, and I feel like the other two will make it on. Joey may have some issues getting there, but I feel like he's going to be okay. But I think Cindric's out. And then my last one, I feel like it's going to be tough, but I feel like Bowman's just got too much of a hill to climb. So I feel like he's on the way out as well.
Yeah, that's a great bottom 4 as far as who we think is not going to advance into the round of 12. Kevin, your list matches my list to a T. I have Reddick getting past, even though he's below the cut line right now. Yeah, Ryan too. Reddick is talented enough. He's kind of hovered around that 7th and 8th spot in points all season long. That's without a win, y'all. So that team, that 45 team, is having a consistent season. They just haven't been able to get over the hump and get into victory lane this season. So I think Reddick's going to be safe. That actually pulls, like you were saying, Barry, Cindric, Dylan, Bowman as the bottom 4. I think that's very fair. Obviously nothing personal against any of the drivers or their teams. It's just going solely off of performance. And those teams right there seem to have had the least consistent seasons in 2025 so far.
Yeah. I agree, and I echo what you guys are saying. We all wrote these things down as individual people, and we came up with the same answers, which is kind of funny and ironic, but not, because we're all watching the same race and we're realists. Could Shane Van Gisbergen be in that list? Yeah, if things don't go right, he absolutely could, but he's got more points cushion than some of these guys. But as far as these drivers like the Berries, the Dillons, the Bowman, you mentioned Logano, Kevin, and this could be a scary round for him. And is it one there that these guys absolutely need to win to advance? No, I don't think so. But they need the finishes, and that is something that, like you guys said, the consistency. I haven't seen it, and I haven't seen the blazing speed consistent out of those guys either.
You cannot afford a wreck at Darlington, or
No.
No, you got to finish race no DNFs in the playoffs, or you're going to find yourself out of the playoffs really fast.
Yeah, I mean that's the ultimate humble or equalizer when you're in the postseason, is if you have a wreck in a DNF. I mean, pretty much if you wreck in DNF this weekend and you're a playoff driver, you now have to win. And that's when it gets scary for you and your team, because you could be William Byron or Kyle Larson and wreck in DNF early at Darlington this weekend and be in a world of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of points. I mean, with how close the margins are, and especially if you're, and again, these are all hypotheticals, and no disrespect to anybody here, but if a Kyle Larson or a William Byron or even a Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, those top four that have a plus 20 or above cushion, if they go out wreck early in DNF, and one of these guys, say, I don't know, the guy minus 1, 14th in points, Tyler Reddick, wins Darlington this weekend.
And a whole flip.
A big flip. And it puts a lot of pressure on these teams. So, we put these hypotheticals out there so you understand the importance behind it. But yeah, I'm just, so we said who we don't think is going to make the round of 12. Why don't we talk about our championship 4? Because, we're not going to go through the entire bracket right now. As these races unfold, we'll really unpack and get a better feel for who, what, when, and where. But as of right now, going into it, no races, no laps run. Who you guys got as your final 4? I'm curious. Kevin, you want to start us off?
All right. So Hamlin, I feel like, is going to have consistent finishes throughout and make it. I think he's due for another run at it, and he's been very consistent all year. He's got pretty much, he can be good at any of these tracks, and so I feel like he's going to be in. Next, I'm going to go with this one may be controversial with you guys. I don't know if you guys are going to agree with this one. I feel like Larson's due for an uptick.
Okay.
I feel like Larson's coming back. He's going to make the Final 4, and he's going to make a go of it.
Okay.
And not only do I feel that, I feel like he will be the only Hendrick driver in that Final 4.
Okay. There's Kevin. There's Kevin's hot take.
There you go.
Yeah, there's my hot take. Next, another one I think is going to be another JGR of Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell, I feel like, he was hot. He got hot early in the season, and I feel like he's due to get hot again. So I'm going to throw him in there. And then lastly, I keep going back and forth, but it is Phoenix. You got to have a Penske car, Ryan Blaney. So, those guys have had a lock on Phoenix for a minute. So Blaney's definitely going to be there, I feel like. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. List, Kevin. I mean, they gave all great reasons why each driver has the ability to make it to the championship 4. I only have one different one, guys. Blaney, Hamlin. I've got 2 different ones than Kevin. I've got Byron making the championship 4. And I've got Byron making the championship 4 because he has shown that consistency this season that we've been talking about. That's going to be a very key factor. We've said that word 100 times this episode already, but it's even more magnified and important in the playoffs. If you don't have consistency, you're going to find yourself on the outside looking in real freaking quick. And Byron, I think, is capable of capturing that consistency with the 24 team and making his way through each round and finding himself in the championship 4. The other one that I actually had switched out from Christopher Bell because Christopher Bell hadn't shown us what we saw the first month of the season, which was absolute crazy hot, like white hot. 3 wins in a row, different types of tracks. I mean, it was like, man, is Christopher Bell going to rattle off 10 wins this year? And then we see those hills and valleys like that happens in a NASCAR season. We're also seeing that with Kyle Larson. As far as ever since Memorial Day weekend and his double attempt that just was completely abysmal. I mean, very un-Kyle Larson-like to wreck that many race cars in a single week, for that matter. But ever since then, we've only seen a few top 5s, and I just don't see that 5 team materializing enough consistency to find themselves in the championship 4. Doesn't mean that's not going to happen. They could very well go out there and win a race every round and find themselves in the championship. Again, hypotheticals, but I got to lean Byron before I lean Larson as far as the Hendrick car that makes it in. Blaney, of course, he's got his second win of the season. They usually find themselves in the championship 4 because they're so good throughout the entirety of the playoffs. I went with a second JGR car too, and I switched it from Bell, and I went ahead and put Chase Briscoe in there. And I put Chase Briscoe in there because after like the first 8 weeks of this season, and Chase kind of got himself acclimated to JGR and the system, the team, the crew chief, that team has been different. They qualify well. They show consistent speed throughout the back half of this regular season, including that win at Pocono, which 5 Lug Racing was very fortunate enough to be there in person for. Very special victory lane for that team. So yeah, give me Chase Briscoe as my final 4th person in the championship race in Phoenix.
Yeah, I can see that.
I absolutely love that, and we have some of there's some common denominators between the 3 of us for sure. I share with you guys. The one I can't get behind is Kyle Larson, and not that it's controversial for me, Kevin, but why I can't get behind Kyle Larson right now is they just have not had that knock your socks off speed that you're used to seeing out of the 5 team. Not only that, but when you compound that with the amount of misfortune and bad luck that they've either had on the track or made for themselves, Kyle Larson has not been the same Kyle Larson since the Charlotte Memorial Day weekend with Indy, and I'm sorry, he's had trouble getting back. Now, listen, he's found a way to finish some restrictor plate races. Drafting track races this year, where Kyle Larson was plagued by those places in years past. Mixing it up for a win at Atlanta, had a strong Daytona. Finished it on all 4 tires. Those are positives that he can certainly take. But as far as that goes, though, at Daytona, and Cody Ware, I mean, no disrespect by this, but Cody Ware led 20-some laps at Daytona, okay? So Daytona is a different place. It's not these tracks that we're going to be running for a championship. Now there's one drafting track, Talladega, that's later on. We'll talk about that when we get there, but I just can't get behind the Kyle Larson thing. I am on the opposite end, though, and I'm with Don. I love William Byron. It's hard not to. The team has been just so consistent this year. I do have William Byron in my final 4. I believe that he's able to ride these bonus points that he got as the regular season champion, as well as the consistency that he's been able to display. And who knows, maybe they find victory lane here or there. That's their one thing. That's that one variable that's kind of plaguing them. They've got to find a way to win a couple more races. They got 2 on the season that they've been so dominant on. But this system doesn't work late in the playoffs if you can't find a way to win. So, but I do like Byron. As far as JGR cars that go, I'm going to give you my hot take first. All right. You ready for this? Last year's hot take for me. All right. It almost happened. No Hendrick cars in the championship 4. That's what I said last year. Okay. I did not say that this year. Obviously, I just told you I got William Byron. So Hendrick fans, don't hate me. All right. We're just reliving last year for a second because it almost happened. If it wasn't for the blockade, and we'll call it for what it is, that happened at Martinsville and all the team manipulation stuff with Chevy, and you could say whatever you want. It happened, folks. Okay. It happened. Let's call it for what it is.
Yeah.
If that didn't happen, Christopher Bell's in that Final Four, not William Byron, and we have a different outcome of that whole race, possibly. Who knows?
Yeah.
So you don't know. But my hot take this year, and again, you could throw controversy my way, but there will not be a Ford in the Final Four this year in Phoenix.
Wow.
Yeah. I am going.
A hot take.
I am saying there is no Ford going to Phoenix.
No Penske there?
Old strategy.
I mean, if you look, okay, so if you look at the drivers that they have, here's why, okay? The one guy that worries me out of this, all right?
You are aware they're still at Phoenix. They haven't switched to Homestead yet, right?
Yeah, but they have to get there first, all right? Phoenix, they have to get to Phoenix first, Kevin, and that's my argument because
onto something because there's only 4 Fords in the playoffs this year, y'all.
I'm just saying.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
All 3 Penske.
They're all really are Penske cars if we want to get technical because Josh Berry has that alliance.
Actually, yeah, all 4 Penske.
But we all just were in agreement saying Josh Berry's not making it to the next round. So boom, there's one gone. Joey Logano and Austin Cindric are on that bottom end there. And now Cindric, hats off to Austin Cindric. He's had a career year, folks.
Yep.
He's had a really good season for Austin Cindric standards, and he should be proud of it, regardless of how this season plays out. He's got a win. He got a legitimate win. He's had a very consistent season. He made the playoffs.
Nice right hook,
Yeah. There's that too. But
Sure enough.
I'm just looking here. The one person that makes me worried about my statement that I just made with no Fords going to Phoenix, winning to get a chance at a championship is Ryan Blaney. And that's because Martinsville is still the cutoff race to get to Phoenix. And Ryan Blaney is so good there. Yeah. But how many times, guys, listen, how many times can the luck be on their side to be back against the wall and go win Martinsville to get there?
Yeah, especially like Christopher Bell, who's very capable of going out there and taking that race also.
Statistical odds of probability tell me that it could very well happen that no Penske car makes it into the Final Four this year. So that's my hot take. Wow. So now that I gave you that, I have to give you my other 3 drivers. Okay. And 2 of them are coming from the JGR stable, and they are mirroring what Don said. Denny Hamlin has just been bad consistent, and I want to bring up a point. Denny Hamlin's season, the way it started, he had this unsureness about him. Okay, he had just lost a major sponsor with FedEx, and they didn't announce a deal, guys. If you remember, with Progressive until Martinsville.
Yeah,
and when that happened, not only did Denny Hamlin go out there and win that race for his new sponsor, Progressive, with that nice blue car that he rips around there with the big P on the hood, but he goes into a new headspace because he became a different person. I don't know if you guys really realize this until I say it, but there was a different Denny Hamlin before and after Martinsville, and his whole season changed at that moment. When they announced that Progressive deal and he goes out and wins, and then they continue to bring in some more sponsors with like Bob's Discount Furniture. And, it's just been a good season for Denny Hamlin. It's back to that old savvy veteran. I'm going to find a way to rattle off 4 wins. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to make sure you guys know I'm there every single weekend, except for some of these tracks and guys, he missed a race this year due to a birth of his child. Right. So not saying he would have been good down in Mexico because he might not have been. Okay. Let's just, road course racing, he's still hit or miss on, but
he was abysmal at Sonoma and Watkins Glen. So,
right.
As road courses go, Denny's lucky there's only 1 in the playoffs.
But he could have had more regular season points, right, by making that start. So, but yeah, I got to put Denny Hamlin there. This just seems like, could it be that year? Could it be that year for Denny? His teammate that you just spoke so brilliantly on Chase Briscoe. In the second half of the season, has scored nearly the most points out of anybody in the field.
Yep.
They are flat out on fire, folks. And if you haven't noticed, you need to wake up. The 19 team is on it, and we're going this weekend into one of his favorite places in all of the NASCAR tracks we go to in Darlington. But then also, by the way, if you let this guy into the Final Four, you're going to the place where he won his first ever career race, and he loves Phoenix. So, oh my goodness, if he gets there, what could be a magical first-year season at JGR? And then my last one's going to bring you the controversy, because I'm also going to go off of a guy who has had a career year to this point and has retaken the reins as the flagship out of their stable. And it's going to surprise people, but I think there's all the tools in the toolbox to get this done. The guy is just not in his own head anymore. I've seen a different Bubba Wallace this year, and that's right, I just said it. Bubba Wallace can be in the Final Four this year. I don't see why not. They go out there and find a way to win or track like Brickyard 400. But if you look at the sample of what he's done this year and take out the bad finishes, right, and look at those under a microscope and go, were these Bubba Wallace's fault? Maybe Daytona was. Certainly his car owner threw him under the bus, and that's fine, because guess what? That race is done and over with. They're on to the playoffs. They don't care about Daytona anymore. But I'm thinking back to a bunch of races early on in this season that not only was Bubba in contention to win for, but also have really good finishes. Look at the year that he has put together. If he got out of his own head, we have been saying it for a while, Don, and we've both been Bubba supporters for a long time, since day one, really. And, it was, can the guy get out of his own way mentally? And I think he has. I think it's finally clicked. The crew chief on top of the box was the right move for him. Yep. Switching that, no disrespect to Booty, because he has a big role still at 2311. But that change at crew chief, that voice in your head and getting some things going, that chemistry is there and it's working. And that 23 team also has the fastest pit crew on pit road this year. All the stuff is there for him to make this possible. Bubba, help me out here, bud. Make me look like a genius. I'm just saying, I really think it could happen, but I'm going to stand packed firm. If Bubba doesn't get there, that's fine. But because I could also say that Christopher Bell could. I think 3 Toyotas are going to Phoenix this year, fighting for a championship, though. I really do. Or it's going to be 2 Chevys, 2 Toyotas. But I don't think a Ford gets there, guys. I'm going to stand firm on that.
When you said Bubba at first, I was like, maybe that 23 team isn't quite ready to make that leap yet, right? But you brought up some really good points with Bubba. He's not in his own way anymore. On top of not being in his own way, he doesn't have weight on his shoulders anymore. On top of those 2 things, he's got a beautiful baby boy and a wife cheering him on. And we've seen a different Bubba Wallace ever since that baby was born. And I think that might have been the final straw for Bubba Wallace to become really, truly successful in the NASCAR Cup Series.
I agree with you guys. Bubba's shown a different side of himself this year. And I was texting you guys the other night about Daytona. At first, I really thought it was Bubba's fault, but I watched it over and over, and I feel like you can't really put the full blame on Bubba.
No.
One, Spotter was not telling him he had 2 lines below him,
right.
And 2,
correct,
that push from Larson got him really squirrely.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a combination of events that just kind of happened. Wrong place, wrong time.
It could have happened to anybody. It just happened to be Larson and Bubba at that point. It could have been anybody to get that kind of push draft going towards the bump draft, and just get your car a little squirrely. We're talking about inches, and then all of a sudden a bright yellow 22 is directly on your fender. And the rest is chaos. So
because he had no idea there was 2 more lines down there, because Kyle went below Joey and it caused a third line, and nobody's ever said that over the radio. So
and there
it got tight fast, and then that bump from Larson got him kind of
squirrely.
And then there they went. And somehow Joey got hardly any damage. That's what I understand. He got smashed by both of them and got hardly any damage. So it's just wild. But
yeah, and that, like you say, racing incident, because there were maybe two other moments in that entire race that were very similar that didn't result in a wreck. And it's right place, wrong time, whatever you want to say, wrong place, wrong time, all that stuff. And then, it was just kind of a recipe for disaster, especially in the middle of a corner, like they were coming out of a turn. It's just that's never good, because when the track shifts from this to this too, the car's going to naturally shift, and people were going into each other. It was just not good. And
take into consideration what happens at the tri-oval, right? It's a turn that if somebody does get washed into the grass, you go a couple 100 feet and they're coming right back on the track because of the way that turn angles back towards everyone. So Bubba lost complete control, goes sliding through the grass. You think everybody's going to make it through, and then, man, just chaos ensued.
Yeah. If he wouldn't have unfortunately got went right back into everybody.
Right.
Yeah. A totally different scenario. And he could have went on.
Right.
He would have been no damage, So
and real quick, since we're back on the subject of Daytona, I know we're cutting it close on time, guys, but how thrilling was it to see that pack finish out that green flag race? I mean, I know a couple cars spun at the end, but they still didn't hit the wall. Christopher Buescher and Eric Jones, or maybe it was John Hunter Nemechek, both spun off the pack, but didn't make contact. That was clean. There was a lot of clean race cars that came home.
Oh, yeah. For a minute there, I thought Priest was going to win it after all the issues he's had with these drafting tracks and getting airborne. I was like, somebody, please do not turn him. I was like, please do not turn him and get him upside down.
Yeah, I genuinely thought
he got shuffled in the middle. So
when Cole Custer made his move on Justin Haley, I thought that was going to be the race for the win. It just happened that the top line had so much energy built up that they were gone. And Ryan Blaney was like, deuces, y'all.
I literally thought it was going to be the 41 and Custer winning that race. I was like, oh my goodness, Cole Custer's about to win this. The internet and NASCAR world is about to break. But that didn't happen. And here we are, Cole Custerless playoffs. No, I'm just, guys, I'm telling you, I think all of our predictions could be absolutely right or absolutely wrong. We brought a lot of logic behind them. But, we have to see how it plays. There's a reason why they have to go race the races. And I'm looking forward to Darlington at first and foremost. I can't wait. I know this is one that we really all are dreaming to get to one day, the Southern 500. And, I can't wait to tune in and see this one.
Absolutely. Well, as far as Darlington goes, we still got to make a couple more picks before we say goodbye to everyone. Kevin, why don't you kick us off, bud? Let's hear your dark horse real quick.
Yeah, pick 'em spotlight time. Let's get it.
Well, he's struggled this year, didn't make the playoffs, but he's known to be good here in the past, and I feel like he's due for a breakout finish. A full race finish, not just be up there and for the most of the race, but actually finish it off up there. Brad K. So is my pick for the dark horse. So,
and obviously Brad Keselowski winning the Darlington spring race last year after Christopher Buescher and Tyler Reddick got into each other towards the end of that race. What a special, magical win that was for Brad and the 6 team. They just haven't seen much success ever since that weekend. Let's just call it what it is. Ryan, you got a dark horse for me, bud?
I do, and my dark horse is going to come out of the Trackhouse stable. Okay. No, it's not SVG. It's the other playoff driver, Ross Chastain. Ross is just really, really quietly good here, and this is a track that suits him. It's also a crown jewel event, and he really rises to the occasion in those races. He's won one already this year in the Coke 600. Now, could he get his second crown jewel in 1 year? I'm thinking he absolutely could. They just need to find the speed in practice and qualifying in order to make it a better, more fluid race for him. And we'll see if that happens come Saturday and Sunday.
Love the Ross pick. I mean, this time last year, Ross and Kyle Larson were battling like crazy trying to go for that win. And Chase Briscoe said, okay, I'll take it from both of y'all. Appreciate you. Bye. And went around both of them and got himself a W. So I love that Ross Chastain pick. Ross is, like you said, had a very quiet, consistent season. Would love to see him rattle off a couple more wins in the playoffs. That would be magical for Trackhouse. As far as my dark horse, it is a literal dark horse. Again, like Kevin and the RFK boys, Christopher Buescher. And I'm picking Chris because he's just so ridiculously fast here. He qualifies well, he practices well, and he's just crazy fast. He takes care of his car, and he allows that 17 team to find themselves at the finish of this race, which a lot of teams can't say the same. So give me Christopher Buescher as my dark horse, Ford Mustang, and we'll see what happens with it.
All
right, Kev. Now you got to lay it on us. Who's your favorite for the Cookout Southern 500?
Well, my favorite is one of the JGR cars that you guys picked in the Final Four, but I did not. But he's good here. It's Briscoe. So,
yeah, I can't argue anything about that. It's one of his favorite places, and what he did last year here was absolutely magical. And to do it again would be insane. So I'm here for it. I love the pick. I went a little bit of a different path, and I went to a guy who's just been the absolute model of consistency and had an absolute rocket ship here in the spring race, just couldn't close the deal, and that is William Byron. I really think he comes out of the gate strong, lets people know why he was the regular season champion, and punches his ticket to the next round this weekend.
Yeah. Love it. Absolutely love it. All these guys very more than capable of going out there and just putting on a clinic and capturing a dub and finding themselves, well, maybe not Chris and Brad find themselves in the next round of playoffs, but it's still important for these guys, whether you're in the playoffs or not, to get wins. You know why? Because unlike other professional sports, you and your team still get to go out there and perform, make money, get trophies, and make a lot of fans happy at the same time. We don't
and sponsors.
We don't lose that in NASCAR. Everybody still gets to go out there and do their business and handle it. I love that aspect of playoff racing for NASCAR. As far as my favorite goes, it's going to be another Ford. It's going to be another dark horse Mustang, and it's coming from Penske because he is also very capable of going out there and dominating this race and winning. And it's Joey Logano. If anybody needs to go out there early, it's got to be Joey Logano, because if he finds himself below the cut line headed to the last two races, he's going to be in trouble, y'all. And he's going to be in trouble in a hurry. So I think they are approaching Darlington weekend as their must-win situation, because I don't see much of it from Gateway. I think there's too many other drivers that are going to be better than Joey at Gateway. And obviously Kyle Larson is just going to be the business at Bristol. So if Joey Logano has a chance, he's got to take advantage of it Sunday night in South Carolina.
Ooh-wee. That is a eyebrow raiser for me. But I can absolutely see it because it's the playoffs, and that's what Joey Logano does. He finds a way, and it upsets the people that aren't Joey Logano fans because he finds a way to do this every year. He's like that thorn in your side that won't go away. Yeah. And that's what champions are, though. He is a champion of this sport multiple times.
You can eliminate Joey Logano from the playoffs like they did last year, and the dude goes Undertaker and rises from the dead.
Courtesy of Alex Bowman.
Anyway, so
never came out.
He finished 9th in the round of 8 last year and still found himself in the playoffs. So, it is what it is. But another great episode, you guys. Kevin, thank you so much for spending your evening with us, hanging out and chatting racing. Ryan, always a pleasure hanging out with you guys. To everybody that made it to the end of the episode, thank you so much. Make sure to drop your likes, your comments, all that good stuff. Share it with a friend, y'all. Share it with some new people that haven't even started NASCAR yet. We want to help continue to grow this sport. That's why we're doing what we're doing here. We want to make it fun. We want to make it exciting, and we want to give y'all information at the same time. So share away. Thank you guys for being with us, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Y'all take care.